with a packed room to join us to discuss women in AI, or perhaps gender parity in the intelligent age. And I'm absolutely thrilled with the panel that we have joining us and what I hope will be a very dynamic conversation. So immediately to my left, we have Meirav Oren, Executive Chairwoman and co-founder of Versatile, based in the United States. Right in front of me, we have Yang Jingjing, Chairman of the Board, Shanghai Generative Artificial Intelligence Ecosystem Development Corporation here in the People's Republic of China. And then finally, we have Angela Wang, Senior Vice President of Neusoft Corporation, Chairman and President of Neusoft Europe, Chairman of Neusoft America, and based here in the People's Republic of China. And I am Saadia Zahidi. I'm a Managing Director here at the World Economic Forum, heading our Center for the New Economy and Society, where we have been doing a lot of research on the outlook for gender parity and produce every year an overview of how things are changing when it comes to gender equality. Our latest report got launched a couple of weeks ago, and there we found that at the current rate of change, it would still take another 123 years to get to gender parity. And that is happening at the same time that the artificial intelligence sector and those that are applying artificial intelligence in other sectors are searching for talent. And in most countries in the world, women are making up the majority of those that are coming out of university. So how do we square this circle? The talent is there, and yet when it comes to women's integration into artificial intelligence, there's still a massive drop-off. There's still relatively smaller numbers of women going into entry-level roles in the artificial intelligence. And then there is a drop to the top. There's a falling off as they rise through the ranks and get to the C-suite. And then there's another side to this disruption, which is around those roles that are being disrupted by artificial intelligence. Women tend to be more concentrated in those roles. So for example, one of the roles that is being disrupted according to our Future of Jobs report is administrative assistants. And that is a role that has tended to occupy majority women. So when it comes to disruption, there's also this gender gap. And then the third type of gender gap is when it comes to augmentation. So those roles that are being augmented by artificial intelligence, they tend to be more occupied by men. Women are more exposed to the risk of less augmentation than men. So across those three areas, the AI sector itself, the risk of automation and disruption of roles, and then when it comes to the opportunity for augmentation, there is this gender gap. So that's just a brief framing of our conversation. And let me turn it over to all three of our panelists to share more about their perspective. What are you seeing in terms of the gender gap across those three areas or more? And then we'll talk in the second half of the session around some of the solutions that might be available. Meirav, perhaps I'll turn it over to you first.
Sure. So I think the report is spot on, right? And we see this in the way just screening applications, right? So it's as early as how many applicants you get for any kind of role. And yes, if you turn it back in time, it's what majors women coming out of university with, and even what they graduate high school with. So I see this all around. I believe that this trend is likely to continue if we don't actually step up and do something. And I won't slip into solutions just yet, but I will say that I'm really encouraged by female leaders. And I see so many of those around me, and I think that is a big part of the opposite trend and maybe what we should be looking at. If more female are actually leading companies, then you don't need to be a STEM major in high school or graduate from the right kind of like program in university. You could just create your own job. I think that's I'll kind of like counter the report and say that is an encouraging trend, and I do see more of that. But yeah, I think we will see more positions augmented, and they're most likely not the female positions, and fewer applicants. I will say that what I see, and I try to kind of like encourage a different behavior myself, is the hesitance to apply. I think that's another gap that maybe isn't mentioned in the report, but there is a tendency to check all boxes, and that should change. And I don't know if my esteemed colleagues here will agree, but it seems like women just want to check all the boxes before they even apply. So I think that if we can encourage women to not be perfect all the time, maybe, just maybe, we'll see more applicants, because there are very qualified candidates out there. They're just not necessarily applying for the right roles.
I think there's quite a lot of data that shows that women will tend to only apply for roles where they feel they meet all of the criteria.
Exactly.
Whereas men would tend to apply even if they don't meet fully all of the criteria. So there is that sort of gap when it comes to...
I see that all the time. Like in applicants, like the male applicants don't necessarily kind of like check all the boxes, they still apply. Women just don't apply. So.
And your sense is this is even worse, this particular gap, when it comes to the AI sector?
Absolutely. I think there's a bit of an intimidation there, and we should just, part of it is panels like this. It's just being out there and encouraging super capable, bright, young, and even older women to just apply for these positions, to not be so afraid of them, and no, you don't need to check all the boxes.
Right. Yang, let me turn it over to you. What are you seeing in terms of trends when it comes to the representation of women in AI roles across technical roles, leadership roles, and more policy-oriented roles?
我首先先自我介绍一下啊，我来。First of all, some words about myself. My name is called the Shanghai Generative AI Ecosystem, and we are the first incubator for artificial intelligence, and we are dedicated to the startup company for AI. So I am responsible for this company. It's my great honor that as a female practitioner in AI, and I'd like to talk about women in AI. I also want to share with you our challenges and practice. As a matter of fact, there are three views from my side. First of all, AI is safe and beneficial for all, which means that every technology or product based on AI should be fair, safe, and beneficial. And I should say that gender equity or gender inclusiveness should be applied. I believe it is more about it is needed at a technological and a commercial perspective. Any company or any entrepreneur will never give up half of the population, such a big market. We need to look at this issue from the beginning, and this is my first view. The second view is that in China, in my observation, a lot of women involved into the AI evolution. Of course, in terms of algorithm engineering or data engineers or some C-level decision-making process, probably less women involved. However, I still believe that in the public policy making on AI research, AI education, we do see more female participation. In China, I do witness two trends. First of all, some government-led AI innovation or startup process in terms of the platform operation and the resources sharing and the public governance, women play a bigger role, like myself. The second observation is that AI plus hardware, intelligent hardware, for example, the changes in the lifestyle, some female, emotional or company products. I believe that the females outperform in these sectors. We do see some female startup owners in this business, at least in China. AI plays a bigger role with the support of female because they are more persistent, more down-to-earth, more open-minded and resilient. And all these are the strengths of women in promoting AI and its development. That is my second view. The third view I want to share with you, because I'm from this generative artificial intelligence ecosystem, and this is more open, inclusive ecosystem community we are building on. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we were called as the largest AI incubator worldwide. There are 600 I want to share with you, 600 days from our inception. The second one, we already have, we are home to 600 large model AI companies. And at our ecosystem community, you can have the top policy support. We have the incubator for these owners, entrepreneurs, with the subsidy support, policy support, and we provide most comprehensive support like the computational power and the government and the market support. Most importantly is that we have the comprehensive ecosystem, and these 600 companies already form a closed loop from middle and upstreams. And we have a joke at our ecosystem: if you go upstairs, which means upstream, downstairs, downstream. And in this process, this is quite important. In this process, we haven't got a, I think that we didn't ignore or overemphasize the role played by women. Most of our operational staff are women like myself, but it is true at some critical moment when we discuss some AI issues or some profound strategies when I head up, I find out in the meeting room only myself or one or two other women. Yes, that moment occurs.
So looking at today's discussion, I also have been doing some reflection. Also, we are looking at what's the next step. We can do something to support women better. And we may be able to open some incubation channels for women's staff and to support their family, children care, and also to give them the physical and mental development support. And in July this year, in the World AI Conference, we are also having a forum on the AI industry female models. We hope to tell more stories and to set the models and support the industry in this way. And we also will have more mentor groups and build more communities to help female staff and women in this industry to build up their confidence and to have a stronger sense of belongings. So this is better for the ecosystem development.
And you've already started pointing us to many potential solutions. But Angela, let's stay for a second longer with this. What are you seeing as the context? What are you seeing as the gaps from your vantage point?
So I work for Neusoft, a software company. But the interesting thing is the company was established in a campus, a university campus funded by professors. So because of that, we are not only working for the IT industry and develop the old AI applications, but also we have 3 universities. So we have universities in Dalian, in Chengdu, and in Nanhai. And most of the majors are IT related. We offer bachelor and master degree in our university. And currently, right now, we already have educated more than 200,000 students already graduate from our university. And currently, we have 55,000 on-campus students. So we have overseen the chance in the IT-related major in the last almost 3 decades. From the very beginning, there are very less represent of the female students in our university. But right now, I'm very happy to see in some of our university, female students, girls, even represents a higher ratio in our university. And basically, it's a half-half in 3 universities and even in the IT-related majors. And this basically represents not only the willingness of girls to join in the IT industry in the STEM-related role, but also represents the society's perception. If the girl can be good in the IT-related majors. And I'm very happy to see, our girls, our female students, do have a higher score in our university. I should say a much higher score, which means women can be very competitive in all the IT-related majors. And around years ago, we also start to, accept AI-related major in our university. I oversaw the same chance. From the very beginning, only 14% of the enrollment are girls. And now it has been stabilized and increasingly into around 40%. So which means, I believe girls can be very broad, can be brave to embrace all these AI-related majors, and they can be competitive to join in the industry. But still, when we look into the IT industry, and especially for the AI-related positions, it's still less representative of women in the industry. So, and basically, I believe that's because the social responsibility, especially in the family, women still had the responsibility not only for the pregnant, for the children birth, but also for raising children. This kind of heavy burden kind of restrain them to embrace in the career for the development, especially in the leadership. In the leadership position, in the leadership role, there's still less represent of the women in the industry. So that's for sure.
Thank you very much. What do you see as some of the risks if there isn't a course correction? Meirav?
Lack of talent, first and foremost. And I totally agree. I think women drop off at some point, right, to take care of their family or do other things. I always kind of like resent questions as a female, so like, so who's taking care of the kids, or like stuff like that. I don't think a male will ever get that question. So we'll see a real shortage, and I think we'll see a shortage regardless of gender, like, because the education system isn't progressing fast enough for us to actually have the kind of talent that we need in all our companies, I believe. But if you do get talent through the university, and even into kind of like lower entry roles, and then that talent goes away, and that is at least what we see as a smaller kind of like scale-up company. You see that all the time. You see when they drop off, right? I think that presents a risk that is gender specific. I don't want to kind of like go into solutions just yet, but I think the risk is quite obvious.
Do you also see a risk when it comes to, so the data that's currently feeding a lot of these models already carries some biases and some gender differences? Do you also see a risk that the people that are primarily developing some of these models, that there is that gender gap?
That definitely on my part, like even in the models that we're using, not so much for my own company, like we're a construction technology AI company, like we train our models based on what construction needs, so it's not gender bias in any way, but I believe, I see this in the more kind of like generic, even marketing applications that we have, and I think across the board there are biases in AI models that will struggle to get out of there later on. So.
Angela?
Yeah, same thing. When we the AI application, when we develop the AI application for the industry, so basically for healthcare, for automotive, and even for some government usage. So we need to thinking about the demand for the females. So which means the diversity in the AI developers really means a lot, and even data itself. For instance, for healthcare. So we need to have a very balanced data, not only from male, but also from female, to treat into the algorithm. Then the algorithm can be more inclusive and serving all the demand for the industry. And also, as a software company, we always thinking about how to utilize AI to support the people, support especially women in the society. And because of what I mentioned about the childbirth and also the family responsibility of women sometimes facing the discrimination in the career. So because of that, we develop the labor, the arbitration algorithm and enabled by AI and helping women when they're facing this kind of situation, how can they protect their own rights? And this kind of AI is not only let women to know rules, policies, but also help them to make the tactic, how to make the arbitration is good for them and the best way to protect their own rights.
So there may be solutions that are actually enabled by AI. Yang, over to you. What do you see as some of the potential risks or barriers?
对，针对您刚刚讲的这个。
Yes, as you have mentioned in this question, I want to talk about two parts. One is from the women's childhood. So the women starting the STEM education in the secondary school, this proportion is decreasing. And in this industry, there are no less than 30% of workers who are female. I am also a mother of a 5-year-old child. I also ask myself, have I encouraged my daughter to learn about robotics, computer sciences, IT, or did I encourage the young girls around me to study this? So I think this is very important. And another is that I read a report recently. A journalist asked a female writer, what's the biggest difficulty you're facing? And the answer from this female author is that she is in lack of a good wife. So you can see a male writer will have a wife to take good care of him and to provide coffee, to take care of the family. But as a female writer, there is no such support from the family. So I think this is a common issue not only for the writer, but also for AI and any other industries.
I think both of you have pointed out that some of the barriers are still very much the barriers that are in other sectors, which is the division of labor when it comes to the home and the lack of a care infrastructure in most economies. Meirav, you are arguably at that intersection of two of the most sort of male-dominated sectors, perhaps, when it comes to both construction and the use of AI within it. Yes. Just perhaps from your perspective, what do you see as being the structural barriers?
I'll have to agree with everyone here. I'll say biases as well. Like, I wish these things never happened, but they still do. Like, coming into a meeting and being asked if I'm Mr. Oren's secretary is not something I expect any male to have ever experienced, right? So you still see those like very inherent biases. Speaking of the AI models, I'm pretty sure that those go into the models right now, which is a concern. To me, this is first and foremost about your ability as a female to step up. I claim kind of like my domain by being a domain expert. I don't take BS from anyone. I come prepared. So I think I know that goes into advice more than anything else, but you asked about my experience. And yes, extremely male dominant. I'll add venture capital to that, by the way. And I'm proud to say Verso has raised over $109 million. So I'm not arguing gender bias, definitely not where I'm concerned. But I've seen others, right? It starts with how you show up. Those reports that we read, they also offer some solutions, right? So if we teach our own workers, our own daughters, and even at universities, if not kindergarten, if we teach our girls how to respond, that changes everything. And I think I represent kind of like that ability to respond and kind of like bounce back into situations to where you take control back and you assume kind of like authority not through either complaining that there is a gender bias or by kind of like playing the rank card, but just by knowing how to respond in certain situations. And also kind of like, again, know your domain, be the expert. If you're the expert, it's way harder to kind of like assume that you don't know what you're talking about, and you can probably prove them wrong. It starts with those skills, and those are slightly softer skills than just taking the right class in university. It's the articles that you need to read. It's that practice, almost coaching. Like, I find myself coach a lot, because if you just know how to respond, the gender bias almost goes away. And I wish I could actually train an AI model to do that. Like, I'm literally thinking for, like, and looking for something like that, like sort of augmenting myself in the way that I respond in certain very male-dominant situations to just help male and female, because male could be insecure sometimes too. So I'm not sure this is just a gender thing. But if I could just create the ability to respond correctly in situations, I think that can upscale humans in general and women in a very specific way.
Thank you. So we're talking about a combination of AI solutions and broader sort of systemic solutions that relate to care infrastructure and other things. So just sticking with those AI solutions, you've talked about personalized coaching that maybe can come from AI. I think we've had a reference to AI tools when it comes to HR that have also been applied and that can help debias. Any other thoughts and ideas on how AI itself can be used to debias?
Yeah, I think AI can definitely be an enabler because, consider we talk about digital divide, digital gap before. Because of the internet and also even the mobile internet later on, a lot of senior people and especially senior left behind. But AI have a more friendly interface with human beings, so which can really enable more and more people utilize AI. And the interesting thing is, Neusoft, we are facing the new, basically the society challenges, how to help China, especially China is in a very fast speed coming into aging society. 10 years later, our population will have around 30% of our population be like more than 65 years old. So it's a very serious problem for the whole country. Now in our university, we are not only educate the young generations, but also we have our own Phoenix School, which is focusing for the senior people after retirement. So from 55 years old, and even the eldest students right now is like 83 years old. And the interesting thing is, our senior students in our Phoenix School, you can see more than 85%, even 90% are women, are senior women. And we educate in our Phoenix School, provide education, not only singing, dancing, but also AI. We help the senior people to utilize AI to become a creator. They can use AI tools to write their own memoir, to create digital album, and to create animation. And you can see all these kind of very active, very powerful senior women to creating their own artworks. Very beautiful. It's amazing. And consider, a young generation, a daughter, even a granddaughter, they see a very ordinary woman, like their grandma, can be a creator using AI. That's definitely empower and inspire this young generation to thinking more broader, what they can achieve, not only to embrace the new technologies like AI, but also to thinking maybe I can have boundless stream in every chapter of my life. And when when we look at their artworks created by our students in our Phoenix school, it's really inspiring. Especially you can see Wonder Woman after they finish their career and they accomplish their family responsibility. They can be very broad to thinking, their own dreams and chasing to accept new knowledge, to learn new things. And they are very curious, even much more than men.
Thank you.
我想谈2点啊。
There are 2 things I want to mention. Just now, you talked about and how to overcome the barrier and to overcome the challenges. We need to have a supportive system. It is composed of multiple layers. First of all, the government side and our ecosystem is an incubator supported by the government in terms of the funding, the government support from the office and the whole ecosystem. And the government support is very important. The other thing is the role played by the company. Just now, you already mentioned the companies should be more proactive, providing trainings to the women or to help women better adaptive to AI or AI-related industry. The other one is the whole society in terms of the children education or training to the elderly. There should be a supportive system to help them to know this AI technology, these products, to know how this AI change and empower their life and their work. I want to share with you one case. I quite agree with what Angela Wang mentioned. And the gender equity is not only occurs in the work, and we have an AI shop or open to everyone. All the products are for sales, and we sell over 200 AI products, including AI-based musical instrument, medical therapist equipments, and robotics. We do see some young kids and elderlies, men and women, fully immersive into this experience. They find it very pleasant because they see how AI changes their life. The elderliest of them is 99 years old. It's really opened up his eyes. Very interesting products. They can use it in his life. We need to think about whether such a scenario is offered where they can try and use AI, how their life could be enabled to change their way of thinking about the world. Maybe this grandpa may have a great impact on his offspring.
You raised the point around policy, and maybe bringing in both Meirav and Angela here as well. How much scope is there for policymakers to affect change on this front, on ensuring that we have more gender parity in the intelligent age?
Honestly, I don't believe this is a policy issue at all. But this is obviously just my own opinion. I think it starts with the family, and it starts with the role models that young girls can grow up with, which isn't a policy thing. It's up to us, all of us, honestly, to just make sure. One of the things that I say most to women in any position is step up. You're offered to speak. You're offered to, take a meeting, take your seat at the table, not and speak up at the meeting. Be present where you can actually influence other people. And if you're not seen, then you're not influencing. That's kind of my approach towards this. I don't honestly see a policy that forces a change.
And at an organizational level, how much do you think senior business leaders, executives need to take this particular issue into account and sort of proactively address it?
It goes to how deeply you search for candidates. So yes, there is a responsibility for leaders and corporates, but again, it's not a policy. It's more act, don't speak, act. So it's the way you search for candidates. It's the way you search for speakers at a conference. Honestly, I would prefer us not even needing this forum. Let's just have incredible women like the ones here be the AI experts on the AI panel, not on the women in an AI panel, right? So, and I think that is a deliberate, and I've seen many events where I'm the only female speaker, and I've seen many where I'm one of many, and I prefer the others, by the way, much more. It's the way you search for candidates, the way you place kind of like speakers in your own conferences. It's the way that you treat the women in your workforce. It's the example that you set. And I will point out like a call for women and female leaders to step up and see others around you and embrace and coach. And there is a little something that I have noticed, and it's not always true, but in some cases where we feel like there's not enough room in the top, and then instead of bringing other women up with us, we actually kind of like try not to encourage that. I think that's wrong, and that is a role that female leaders in particular can play. There is enough room at the top. There's no shortage of great positions, and we need more leaders. Leaders in general, and I think women are great leaders because they do have, by the way, taking family and kids into account, we just have more compassion, more empathy. So sometimes it's actually better to have a female leader.
Thank you. And Angela, your view on policymakers' role and business leaders' role?
I agree with Oren, but sometimes they may be different. So for instance, like the racial change, for the gender racial change in our university, it's naturally happened. It's not by policy, because in China, considering the policy and rules of education fairness, we only can accept students by their score of a very important examination in China named Gaokao. So, which means that the change of the enrollment of the girl, which increased from 14% to 40% in AI major, and IT major is even half, is because of it naturally happened. Because of girls is more willing to join IT-related major, the technology position, and they see the future, because in the industry, they see more and more role models can be very successful in the industry. So, and they are very competitive to get the position, not because they are girls, but also because they have very good score. They are competitive. But coming into the career, I do believe because in that phase of their life, they need to finish their family responsibilities. As a woman, we need to have children birth, feeding children, raising children. So that's the responsibility for the society, for the family. Considering that, I think the government, the society, do need to have a better support for the female workers in the career and helping them. And like Nordic country, they have better society support for all the women, to helping them to raising children. It's not only family responsibility, and that can help them to pursue their own dream with less burden.
Okay, thank you. We have a little bit of time now for questions from the audience. If you could just mention your name and organization, if you'd be willing, and then keep your question quite brief. There in the back, and then we have 2 more questions here.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Sarah, and I'm an MP, a Member of Parliament from Indonesia. So thank you, what you mentioned about the disruption, and my question is actually on paternity leave. So one of the biggest debates in Indonesia when we were proposing to extend the maternity leave from 3 months to 6 months was also on leave for the fathers. Because one of the biggest issues was that the more we push for women to take leave to be with our children, and as a mother of 3, that's something that we really push for. However, then the debate becomes that for the men or for companies, it is a lot more sustainable or profitable to hire men rather than hiring women, because the men won't be going on maternity leave. Now, what are the policies that you implement or that you would push for specifically on, what are your views on the paternity leave, especially for to support more presence of fathers in our societies? Thank you.
Okay,
I would love to take that. I think it should be named paternity leave and not like just maternity leave. And at least in our company, we encourage fathers to take the time off, because guess what? When you have a baby, it's a big moment. And it's a big moment for both parents. So it's not just the mother that needs to be there. A family includes everyone. So we're very much inclusive in terms of like, it's not that women that give birth that need at least a few weeks, if not a few months off. It's also the fathers. So once again, not so much the policy makers at the government level, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are having a discussion about it, but the company itself that encourages that and actually funds that, right? So we don't discriminate. A new parent is a new parent. And we also make sure that we encourage women to come back. And yes, that's maybe the only place where policy could make it easier. And I love what you said about older, kind of like elderly population. Maybe there's a way to help the young mothers. Like, yeah. I need to think about that. This is a great kind of like topic that I will take forward. But just the way to encourage women to come back from maternity leave or paternity, again, if it's the dad, that is super important. Because if you don't come back, then obviously your male colleague will win that promotion because you were just not there.
I'm going to ask for a show of hands on other questions so I understand how many we're looking for. Okay. I might take 2 questions at a time, and then I'll take 2 more. Please, go ahead. And then I'll come to you.
谢谢主持人。然后
Thank you, moderator. I'm from the Thai media, and I have a question to Madam Yang. With the large model development, there is a question about the exit of the investment and the business model. So how to deal with these industry challenges, and what's your suggestions? Because I wonder, do we need to wait for another wave or save ourselves? Okay, so now based on our observation, well, actually things are not so seriously bad in my mind, because first AI is developing itself, and its product and the technology route is also changing. Maybe you are mentioning the fundamental models, and some of the previous pioneers, they moved to another industry or another segment. But for the AI agent and for the AI applications, there are more and more enterprises coming out. So this is a reflection of the different investment logic or focus in the market. So I'm not so pessimistic. And we have been talking in previous days session, and we have noticed that the country is looking at the national level fund or the Shanghai municipal level fund, and there are more investment coming out. So for the GenAI large model, the startups, do they need to move to the application scenario? For the GenAI, actually the direction is going to the application. So it is a trend that the GenAI will move on to the application.
The questions will be focused on the topic at hand. So we have a person in the back there. And I'm going to ask for a couple more questions and before we respond.
Great. Just 2 points. I'm Dr. Rupa Dad. I am the co-founder of Women in Global Health. So I'm really excited to be at this session on AI and women. The first is really also hearing about what is the role and responsibility of men to go ahead and really create an enabling environment. especially when we know there's a certain culture that comes with, and it's not just culture limited to tech, it's the bro culture that's very popular, and it means that women often are just saying, I don't want to be in that place because it's a toxic work culture, not just related to family life, but overall just unhealthy for everybody. The second bit is like more of a message, like how do we also make the point that if you want the best AI, if we don't have women from diverse backgrounds, I just don't mean women that are the most like educated, privileged, but women that are the hardest to reach. I see my sister, Lady M, who has founded an organization called I Am the Code. How do we make sure that the best AI is being developed and that we don't just celebrate the fastest AI and say that's the best. The best requires the diversity and perspective. So how do we build that in as a model of success as each of you measure success? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take a couple more questions. We'll go there first.
Hi, I'm Maria. I'm the co-founder and CEO of She Loves Tech. So we look for startups globally, all women-led. And I'm very curious, as AI experts yourselves, what's one unpopular opinion do you have about AI in the context of gender?
And right next, yeah.
Hi, I'm Paula Vanessa, co-founder of Duckflow, a supply chain startup. You've talked a lot about how to teach girls how to respond to certain situations, looking for role models, how to speak up during meetings. What are some things you think we should be teaching boys and men to do?
Okay, so we've had a couple of questions on boys and men. We're going to come back to that side of the room. I'll just take a couple of responses to these questions. The culture in which women in AI are operating, as well as the question around boys and men, and unpopular opinion that you might hold.
I think I can combine kind of like the role of men in general in the corporate environment and what do we teach boys and men? I love that question, by the way. It's a great one. Once again, I think the responsibility starts with us. Like if we're just here to complain about lack thereof diversity and biases, we're not doing much. So it starts with us educating the men around us. It starts with, I'll dare to say, how we behave in our own home and what we show our girls. So I don't think my daughter sees a huge difference in the responsibilities between her mother and her father. And again, that's a choice. It's a choice that we'll make in our own kind of like life. But in the corporate environment, pretty much the same. Like I call out my male counterpart when they do something that I think is either biased or just disrespectful or will potentially create a toxic environment, right? So it's preventing that toxic environment from happening because you're there and that's your job. Can we influence highly toxic companies that we're not part of? I don't know. We can per se, but maybe we should offer some coaching to some of the male leaders around us. Some of them, you'll be surprised, will actually accept it. If you actually offer, they're actually interested in learning different ways. And just for the boys, those are the easiest to educate, in my opinion. Just make sure they get good influence and good role models around them that are not just extremely masculine and kind of like
Angela
biased.
and Yang, would either of you want to take on any of the questions we've heard?
I think changing culture really takes time. And not only to educate boys, men, what they should do and their responsibility in family, but also, reducing bias. What a woman should be, a man should be, these kind of things really take time. But I believe by more and more women standing up, speaking out, and become a role model in different positions, when the whole society can see how women can be very successful in different positions, that really change a lot for the bias. And in the end, in the industry, in the business, in the career, it should be a fair competition. Women should be very competitiveness to win the position by themselves. But we need to consider they should also not be, stressed by so many burden, because of their gender. So that's the things I should, I like to express.
对，针对这个话题，其实刚刚2位都说很。
Thank you. And I agree with the other panelists. I feel that this is about the role model. The role model is not only in the family, it is also in the career, like how a parent, a father or a mother should be. And we should not emphasize too much on what a boy should be, what a girl should be. So if in the career you are strong and you have the leadership and you can lead your team, they will trust you. So we will need more role models in the AI and the scientists, and I hope to see more.
Colleagues at the back who are pointing out that we are coming very close to the end of the session. So I'm going to take one question from our participant there. You have the final question, no pressure.
Okay. Hi, I'm a global shaper and also I'm associated with Global Women Asia. And I want to ask what are the key skills and credentials for the young women that you think that they should focus on to stay competitive in the artificial intelligence sector for the next decade or so? Yeah,
thank you. So what skills? Great final question. Thank you.
So I think, I hope in the future, AI can have diverse data, diverse representative for the developer, and they can be more inclusive, and they can open the door for every woman to pursue their own dream, their boundless dream. And no matter if they want to have a position in AI or not, but they can have their own dream, their own target. And there is no limitation because they are women.
Thank you.
I want to add to that. I think it's a great question. I think it's more the soft skills than anything else. It's leadership. It's the ability to be well-spoken, which university could teach you, but you could also kind of teach yourself. And to me, it's grit. And kind of the ability to take no and get up and get at it again. I think especially in the era of AI, having human skills will actually differentiate everyone. Because if you're just going to use the agent to tell you what to say, you're going to sound like everyone else. So have your unique voice and your unique stand on things, and you might just stand out and get that job. So.
Great. Thank you very much. Yang, would you also like to share some
我其实想回到第一。
Yeah, I want to come back to the first question about the maternity leave. So for the maternity leave, so can we better use the AI tool? So actually, your boss doesn't need you to stay in the office. It just needs you to do the job. And with the help of AI, even you don't stay in the office, you can still do the job. So for the topic we have mentioned now, we can try the AI tools and find the improvement it can be made and also to develop it. So from my own experience, the difference between the human and machine is on the creativity. So I feel that any AI or any robots cannot replace people in terms of the creativity. So I think young women should do that.
So we've heard 4 types of solutions today. We've heard the individual solutions, everything that we have to do to develop confidence for young women and men alike to be able to navigate the intelligent age, to be able to develop the skills to navigate the intelligent age. We've heard about sort of the solutions that need to happen at a workplace level. So specifically with the responsibility of business leaders to ensure that they do create pathways, inclusive pathways for everybody in their organizations. Third, I think some debate on this. Is there a role for policymakers? At the very least, there may be when it comes to developing the pipeline of talent, and then to be seen how much support there can be to ensure that there's more integration of that talent, with the exception around the care economy, which often is the responsibility of policymakers. And then finally, the fourth is artificial intelligence solutions themselves, solutions that can be applied to debiasing data, to building more personalized learning, to developing solutions around coaching, to developing better tools when it comes to hiring, retaining, and promoting people. Thank you so much to the panelists, to Meirav, to Yang, and to Angela for joining us. And thank you very much to all of the audience for their questions. Thank you.
Thank you.